If you need to get money to grow your business, pay for employees, get real estate, inventory, or equipment, or whatever you need, I'm going to show you how new economic forces and banking changes are about to affect your ability to get funding for your business before 2025. And I'm going to tell you which business owners this is going to affect the most. So if you need money for your business to start investing in it and increasing your capacity to earn more revenue, you're going to see why you need to do that as soon as possible, especially if you're trying to get no-doc funding. So let's get straight into it. Now, first off, there was some points that I saw on another person's channel, The Credit Plug. He covered some points that reminded me I needed to let you guys know this information too. I'm going to share about 2 or 3 points he made, then get into some other stuff. But definitely go check out his recent video on the subject dealing with no-doc loans to get the full scope of what he was talking about. Okay, so this is one of the reports that he had brought up and that he was talking about. It is the quarterly report on household debt and credit, which is provided by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. And this one is for Q1 of 2024. Now, the first point is going to be the fact that there was an increase in the amount of credit given in a certain type of credit product. That would be credit cards, which is what we're going to talk about right now. Now, what you can see here is that there was a rapid growth in the amount of credit cards that were issued over the last few years between like Q1 in 2020 all the way to 21. That's when the increase really started kind of happening, and it went from about 500 million all the way almost just about to 600 million, which is about 100 million new accounts issued as far as credit cards, which is a rapid growth in that time frame. Now we know there's been a rapid growth in the amount of credit cards that have been issued. Let's also take a look at the delinquencies, 90-day delinquencies, which is usually the charge-off point, and let's see what type of lending product has also had an increase in delinquencies. Well, you can go right here and see that it's credit cards. We had a big spike way back here, which that spike happened like around the 2008, crash that happened. Things went down. Then all of a sudden we get in between 22 and 23 in Q1, and you see that the spike starts to go up. So a lot of cards got issued, and now we are having a spike in delinquencies. And the credit cards are higher than student loans, mortgage, auto loans, so it's higher than pretty much everything else. Now this next graph is from PayNet, and it covers the Small Business Delinquency Index. So now looking at this graph, you can see, of course, way back here around that, 2008 crash. Right after that, you can see that there was a spike in delinquencies, of course, with the businesses. But more recently, we can see over here where we had a large spike, which was around the time of the COVID lockdowns happening, like January 2020. You can see that was like the bottom, and then all of a sudden it jumped up after those lockdowns happened. And it was a lot going on during that time. Lockdowns, people getting sick, unable to work. Businesses were really suffering, during that time, which is why, of course, the business delinquency would increase as we see it did here. And then I believe it was about March or so where we actually started to see the PPP loans come out. And then it took some time for it to kick in. And then all of a sudden this spike started to go down. And then the lockdowns and a lot of the restrictions got lifted. So, all of this started to go down really, really far. Also, a lot of money was getting pumped into the economy, which if you hadn't heard during that time or even now, a lot of people were saying that, we were pumping a lot of money in to make things look better than what they were, and just kind of kicking the negative effect that was supposed to happen further down the road as we continue to pump out money and whatnot. So lo and behold, that was around 2021, everything's still going down, and we get too close to this time, right? And we can see that spike started happening up starting around April 2022. It just started to go up as far as those business delinquencies, and it's still on an upward trend. So before we continue, let's talk about what all of this means. So with delinquencies being on the rise, with all of those new credit cards being issued, that means that the banks are giving out a good bit of money and they aren't receiving that money back. Now, if the banks are giving out a lot of money but not getting it back, that means they aren't able to cover things that they need within their system. Now, that can lead to them firing people. That can lead to them making different ways to charge fees. But ultimately, it's going to change how they decide to give out money in the future. because there's a direct correlation with them not getting paid back the money that they need and some of the issues that they can face. So of course it makes sense to tackle how they give out money going forward, especially with all of the different things that are kind of floating out there that might happen with the economic crash coming soon, according to what some experts say. But let's take a look at a recent bank stress test to see how things are faring. So we can see here that the biggest US banks are more vulnerable than they were last year, Fed stress test shows. And this was just last month, the end of last month, so almost 30 days ago. Now, they start off by saying America's biggest banks are well positioned to survive a severe recession while continuing to lend to households and businesses. But look, check this out. After the Fed stress test results were released, JP Morgan Chase disclosed late Wednesday that its losses would likely be modestly higher than the Fed had estimated. Now, that's crazy that they would come out and say that after the Fed released its results, its estimations, and it kind of points the question to why would they underestimate what type of loss the bank might see? And another question is, why would Chase come and tell on them after they came out with the estimate? But these are just things to keep your eye on. Now, it also mentioned that Discover Financial Services suffered the biggest loan loss rate of 18.7%. The average is 7.1%, by the way, so that's way above average. And they were followed by Capital One at 16.5% loan loss rate. And when you look up information about the coming possible crash, everybody says that it's going to be worse than the Great Depression, worse than anything that we've ever seen before. And to be honest with you, I see banks failing in great number. I don't know how long it might take, over what duration of time it might take. This could be years, down the line. I'm just throwing stuff out there. And if anything, Chase might be the last bank standing, as they are a part of those too big to fail banks. Now, look, before we get into the real issue that is going to kind of combine with what we're talking about now, if you have been getting value from this video so far, please make sure to leave a like on the video so YouTube can know to show this to more people. A lot of you guys, y'all come watch the videos and y'all don't hit the like button. It's right there. It's just take like 2 seconds for you to hit the like button. I don't know if I did something to y'all to make y'all mad at me or something like that. That's why y'all don't hit the like button all the time. But please hit the like button. It takes 2 seconds if you're getting value from the video so far. And subscribe to the channel to make sure that you get more good information like this. Now look, this is the big problem. And I'm going to tell you guys still who all of this is going to affect the most, how it's going to affect you, and what you can do about it. So just stick around. Now, this is a company that the Credit Plug brought up as well that is doing some revolutionary things that are going to kind of change how banks are operating and what they are able to do as far as lending and what they do with your lending application. And this alone will take away the opportunity for a lot of you guys to get funding, but it can also be an opportunity. So this company called Pinwheel API, basically they are able to verify income. So a lot of the big thing going on now, and has been for the past few years, is that a lot of people have been pushing the no-doc loans. You've been probably hearing a lot about it, where you don't have to show proof of income in order to complete your application. You can put down whatever income you state you make or revenue you generate on the application, submit it, and they won't ask you to verify anything or provide proof of anything. So more and more lenders are starting to partner with Pinwheel in order to verify people's income. So this is something that is going to make things very different in the landscape going forward. As you can see here, they verify employer's name, employment status, your title, the start date for you. They can identify, your full name, birthday, all that stuff to make sure that's correct. Your annual salary, your hourly wage, your pay frequency, your actual pay stub information, like your gross pay, your net pay, your deductions that you have, taxes that are taken out, even your shifts, like type of work off and associated earnings that you have. So they can look at all this stuff to determine, future income that you will have coming in, and how often you get paid, how much you get paid. So there won't be a need for these banks that are seeing so many delinquencies after issuing so much credit. There won't be that much need for them to take the risk on you just putting something down on a piece of paper, when they can actually use a company like Pinwheel to go back and verify that information. And you can see here Discover uses them or is trusted by them, Citizens, and a bunch of other banks are already starting to use this company to verify your information. And you know, before, if they had to verify something, of course, they would have to ask you for the information. They would have to collect the information from you. They would have to, you know, store or house that information. All these different things they would have to do, if not going through some other means to try to themselves go and seek the information to verify it, which I'm sure led to them just trusting people and doing the no docs, especially at those bigger banks that feel like they have, you know, enough assets going on to cover a certain amount of losses. But with increased delinquency, with unsurety in the economy and a possible crash coming, there's a lot for these lenders to be worried about. So if they have a easy way from a third party to verify information, and this company Pinwheel, they partner with a bunch of the leading payroll services out there, so they do have a lot of information, and more than likely they have your income information if you're working a W-2, or if you use a payroll company to actually pay yourself as a business owner. So they do have ways of verifying the information. That's where the opportunity here is, because for some of you business owners out there, you probably have just been, you know, taking money out of your business bank account. Hopefully you have a business account and a personal account, and you are separating the funds that you have, not commingling them and using them for, you know, one and the same purposes. But accounting for your pay coming to you appropriately can, in many instances, help you out if they are using something like this, because at the end of the day, they will be able to verify your income a lot easier than how it usually works for most entrepreneurs who don't properly document how they're getting paid and where their pay is coming from. I can tell you personally that I had maybe once or twice an issue where I was trying to get a car, and me being self-employed, the way that they wanted to verify my income, like the first time when I was trying to get a car as an entrepreneur, I had no payroll paying myself. I would just do withdrawals to take the money out and then put it in my personal account and then use it from there. But when I did that, there wasn't a transaction showing up as like a payment, and then I had to get my business bank statements, and then, you know, depending on how the income came within the business account, they classified some of it as me and some of it as not me, even though it was going to my business and I owned the account. And it was different lenders that had different stipulations on how they would look at it. So it made it all very complicated. Whereas if I would have just had a payroll company showing that I'm getting a deposit from my company to my personal account and it's X amount of dollars every month, that would have looked far simpler and easier, and I wouldn't have to go through some of the extra steps I had to go through in order to get the loan. And look, if you need a payroll company, I definitely recommend ADP, and I'll put a link to them in the description. You can create your own payroll for yourself and get your own pay stubs and make it easy when you're going out there trying to apply for things. But listen, with this company partnering with more and more banks and more lenders, and them being more and more concerned about the delinquencies that are out there, banks are going to want to verify more and more information. Pinwheel makes that easy. So some of the things you're able to do with your projected revenue and projected income and self-stated income is going to be a thing of the past, and that's going to happen really soon. So my advice to you is that you need to definitely be jumping on top of this now. If you need money for your business, take advantage of those no-doc business loans and credit cards and lines of credit that are out there, because not only are the banks getting options to easily verify your information, but they also have to be worried about how they're going to lend, and lending might start to tighten up just because of the economic restraints that are more than likely coming soon. And when the banks tighten up on credit, that means you can barely get money for your business, or you have to have higher credit score, better looking credit report, more income, more revenue, just to get the money that you need. And you waiting a month or a week can be the difference between you getting $50,000 and getting $10,000, or the difference between you not being able to get money at all, whereas you might qualify right now. And if you want somebody to take a look at your personal situation, I do consultations where I can take a look at your situation, see how I can help you get, 50, 100,000 for your business using this no-doc 0% interest strategy. And if you need help with that, go down to the description below. And look, now you know why you need to be acting fast, but you also need to know what banks you can go to get that no-doc, no proof of income funding for your business. So check out this next video on 5 slept-on banks that most people overlook, where you can easily get $30K or more from these banks. So check that out, and I'll see you in the next video.